Hey, it's Danny Tato, and welcome to another episode of what I'm calling How to Dwarf Fortress. This is our tutorial series for the Steam version of Dwarf Fortress. Now that Dwarf Fortress has been out for a little while, we've gotten the community going with things like DF Hack, which you don't have to have going right now, but it is recommended if you're following along, just because you're going to see some things, some quality of life things popping up on menus, and it's going to look slightly different. It should be pretty obvious where it kicks in and where it doesn't. I'll try to point out those obvious points so you guys can know, okay, that's not on my screen because that's DF Hack. But really, I do recommend you go and get it completely free and just kind of like an add-on to the game. Really makes things super nice. And I'm going to be doing some videos later on really highlighting the power of DF Hack and how we can use it. For now, it's just going to be like minimally kind of incorporated. So this is our fortress here, Sculpted Sabers. And what we've done so far is we've kind of dug a ramp down, set up our trade depot, set up our first farm here with some plump helmets, a couple stockpiles, and our still, which is running our alcohol, so that our dwarves can be nice and drunk and happy. If we go down to the next layer, we did set up a basic workshop section, only a couple workshops so far. We also built some offices and assigned them so we can start making some more complex work orders in just a moment. But one of the things I wanted to cover here is stockpiles. We've made a couple. We made a very simple wooden stockpile, just lay it down, select wood, and that's it. We also have a seed stockpile and a plant stockpile. But over here, because we're going to be putting some workshops that deal with stone, I want to make sure I get a stone stockpile over here. And the reason why this is slightly more complex is we want to make sure we have the correct type of stone in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and click, I drag down, clicked again, and I'm going to click accept. And this tells us, all right, what do you want to have stored here? So we're going to click on stone, but the game divides stone up into several categories. And we want to make sure we only have the right category of stone. So once I click on stone, I'm going to click on custom. And you can see the 4 categories of stone that Dwarf Fortress sort of sets up for us. So we have metal ores, economic stone, other stone, and then clay is considered a stone as well. So metal ores would be things that we can melt down and get metal out of, which we then can make into bars and then convert into either furniture if we want, statues, we could make it into weapons and armor. It all depends on what metal it is, what the attributes it has, and kind of what it lends itself to. We can also make it into crafts that we can then sell for like a ton of money, but we're not quite there yet. What we want is to make sure we don't have any of that super useful stone and just the stone that we can use that its really primary use is just like construction and building furniture and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on metal ores here, and then we're going to click none on this side. And that says you will not allow any of these metal ores to be placed here. Then there's the economic stone, which make all kinds of various important economic materials, so things like coal, which is super important for our metal industry. We have some of our flux stones here. I know chalk and dolomite are flux stones. There's a couple others here, I don't remember which ones. That's useful for making steel later, so when we do our steel industry. So we don't really want to waste, quote unquote, waste that economic stone on building things like chairs and tables and statues and things quite yet, just because we can use it for other more important things. So we're going to hit none over here for that. And then for clay, we don't want any clay here. We don't want anything like that. I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just, it's not useful for what we're making the bulk of our furniture out of. So what we have here is the other stones. So everything else, which is a very long list, all the other types of stones that we can find that don't have any other use. Okay. So other stones should be checked. We should make sure we have all of these selected, and then we can just kind of right click our way out. And now they should start bringing stone over here. Now, here's the thing with stones. Okay, these are not just little handfuls of stones. These are like big boulders that they have to carry. And you'll notice when your dwarves are moving around and they're carrying some of these stones, they move very slowly. So to help them, what we can do is make sure that they have wheelbarrows. Now, if you remember in episode 1, when we did our embark, we did bring a couple of just wooden wheelbarrows with us. So we want to say, hey, this is a stockpile that deals with very heavy material. Let's give them a wheelbarrow so they can kind of throw it in there and move a lot faster. Just kind of speed things up because we really want to be kind of efficient. If that's what we're going for. Again, you don't have to be, I've done forts before where everything's on one layer instead of kind of building the central shaft before, just to have a different kind of feel of things. That's fine. We're going for like pretty relatively good efficiency here. So let's say we want to put some wheelbarrows here. So this button right here on our stockpile screen that has the little barrel, it says set how many barrels, bins, and wheelbarrows the stockpile can use. So we'll click on that and you can see everything defaults depending on the type of stockpile you set up, it may change these defaults. In this case, no barrels, no bins. We can't unfortunately put any of the stones here into barrels or bins, so we're not going to use that. But wheelbarrows are useful for stone. It's a heavy material. So we're going to say, yeah, let's just put one here. We'll probably save another one for when we do another stone stockpile, maybe down here for metal ores, just to speed those things up too. So we're going to make sure we have one wheelbarrow. Good. I'm going to hit done. And then what we're going to do is you're going to watch some of these guys as the dwarves are free. We have a bunch of guys, some working in the carpentry, some doing managerial stuff, some still mining, farming, so on and so forth. But anyone who's free, we only have 7 dwarves. If someone's free, they're going to start loading up the stone into the stockpile and hopefully utilizing that wheelbarrow. So let's go ahead and right click, get out of here. You can see the little sign has the little stone on it, so we can quickly kind of see what's in there. And I'm in spacebar and just kind of let time run for a little bit. You can see guys still moving around. They're putting wood in the wood stockpile. We still got digging going on here. Our animals up in this hallway. We did set up a meeting area here to get our guys kind of out of the rain if it were to rain or snow or something like that, because that does create negative moods. And again, we're still watching our moods up here of our 7 dwarves that we're starting off with, okay? Eventually, you will see the wheelbarrow parked down here once they get more time and place it here, or up here, somewhere in the stockpile, and you'll see these stones start moving around. It is a relatively low priority job. I'm not too worried about it. Just keep an eye on that. We'll see if we can start seeing that as we move on. Now, one of the other things we talked about is creating jobs, because dwarves don't know what to do if you don't kind of tell them what you want them to do, which is really powerful, but it can make them kind of stupid sometimes. But if you know what you're doing, you can make really powerful decisions as to, okay, how much are we going to make a certain piece of furniture? When do we make it? How many do we want sitting around? Things like that. And that way, when you go to build something, let's say, I can tell you our next priority is going to be building bedrooms, right? We want a place for our dwarves to be able to kind of rest their heads. And so we got to mine out some bedrooms. So what we're going to need is we're going to need doors and we're going to need beds. But right now we have 0 beds. And so when we go to place them, it's going to be like, hey, you can say you want a bed here, but we haven't built any. So we need to go make those beds. So I'm going to pause real quick. And the simple way of making workshop orders is you physically click on the workshop, you have your task menu, you hit add new task, okay? And then you can see make bed is right here. You can also type in bed, filter it out, click on bed, and boom, you're going to make 1 bed. And as soon as that 1 bed is made, this task is complete and it goes away. Okay. Now, the other thing we could do that's really simple is we can say, click on this little sort of cyclical arrow button, and it says, click to set this task to repeat indefinitely. So basically, someone will constantly be making beds, like for eternity. Okay. There's the bed person. That's not super efficient because eventually you're going to run out of logs. They're going to have like 1,000 beds and you don't need that many beds, right? You could, of course, trade them, to another civilization, make some money off of it, but that's not really a high value item. So we don't want to do that either. We want something a little bit better. So instead of doing it that way, the real way you're going to make tasks most of the time, or workshop orders, is you're going to click on the work orders menu down here, the little clipboard with the check mark. All right. Now, again, I have DF hack going. It has this like auto milk animal feature. So if you have an animal that can be milked, it automatically queues those jobs up and your dwarves go and do it. So if you have nothing in here, that's normal. It's the way it should be. I just have this because of DF hack. All right. So this is our work order screen. And what we're going to do is click on this button over here to create a new work order. So we're going to click on that and it brings us this super kind of intimidating menu. On the left side, we have all of the possible workshops that you can have, and it divides up what jobs fit into each workshop, right? So what we could do is we can go down here, go to Carpenter's Workshop, and click on Make Bed, right? But the way I tend to do it most of the time is I just go to the Alt task right there, and I just type in here what I want, okay? It could be the material you want. For example, if you want to make something out of rock, okay? You can type in rock, and then it divides up everything you can make out of rock, or you could type in wood. Wood is a little bit tough because some things will be wood, some things will be wooden, or is everything just wooden? Maybe everything's just wooden. But you might think in your head, okay, it's made out of wood, type wood, and then you might not be able to find it. In this case, I'm just going to go by the item. I want to make a bed. Now, beds can only be in vanilla Dwarf Fortress, can only be made out of wood, so it just says make bed. That's the only option you have. There are mods out there where you can make beds out of all kinds of materials, but in vanilla, just wood. So I typed in bed, and I click on bed. Now, the default is pretty much always going to be to make 10 of whatever item you chose. Okay, and it says 10 out of 10 because none have been made, so there's still 10 left out of the total 10. All right. So if I left this as is, what would happen is our manager would go confirm that we have a workshop and a person who can do it. They would issue the order, and then you'll see a dwarf go to a carpenter, and they'll make the carpenter workshop, and they'll make 10 beds. Then the order will disappear. Now that's slightly more useful because we have a little more control picking how many we get, but it still doesn't like sort of always set it up where, we want to set up conditions. What if I run out of beds? What if I only have 5 beds and I want to make sure I always have 10 beds? What if I want to make beds out of a certain type of material, like a specific type of wood? We can set all of that up. Okay, so let's go over a couple of buttons. First of all, these buttons right here will say how many workshops can it use. You can have multiple carpenter shops, and that's fine. And you may say, okay, I have 5 carpenter shops, and I only want 2 to be used for beds. So you can just go to, there's 2 shop max. Only 2 will be used for it. Okay. By default, leave it as any shop or any workshop is what they're trying to say here, because we only have 1, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. You can also manually type the number if you want. So you could type in 50 if you want, but we'll leave it at 0 and go from there. Now over here, these plus, minus, and number sign buttons over here are going to be affecting how many you want made. Okay, so you can change just like this, or let's say you want 200, right? Like you don't want to keep hitting plus until you get to 200. You just type in 200, and there you go. Okay. Then you have your priority. So it says over here on the tooltip, change your work order priority. Work orders at the top of the list will use workshops first. So it's gonna, if we have 5 different things that need a carpenter's workshop, and we only have 1, and this one is at the top, this one will be sorted first. They'll do this one first and then go on to the other ones. Okay, useful to know. Usually doesn't affect too much, but it is a good tool to be aware of. Okay, I'm just gonna go back and just set this to 10 before I forget. All right, now we have a couple other buttons, and these are your powerful buttons. So this one right here with the arrows is the condition for the work order. Okay, so we definitely want to set a condition. So we're gonna click on that and see what this looks like. All right, so we see our order here is to make the bed, 10 out of 10. So we want to make 10 beds. And right now, this is a one-time order. Okay, they'll do it once, and then once those 10 beds are made, the order disappears. That is not what we want. We want to make sure we always have a certain number of beds ready to go. That way, when we go to build bedrooms, we don't have to worry about whether or not we have beds or wait for them to get built. Okay, so we can set our own conditions down here, and it's super powerful. But actually, I'll just show it to you real quick. So basically, what it does here is sets a condition. So if this condition is met, then they will execute the work order. If it is not met, they'll keep checking every day. It says it's checked daily. They'll check every day to see when the conditions are satisfied, and if so, then they'll start making the beds again. Okay, so you can change it to amount of items, the type of item, what the item is made out of, so on and so forth. It's super powerful, and then you can set the number. You can do greater than, less than, equal to, whatever. We're not going to worry about this button right now. What we're going to do is, Dwarf Fortress is super smart, and they add some suggested conditions at the bottom. And they're pretty intuitive, pretty smart. You're 99% of the time, this should satisfy pretty much all your basic needs for most workshops and most orders. In this case, they have 2 conditions here. One, we're going to click on the bottom one first. This says that if we have an amount of logs that is more than 10, so we have more than 10 logs sitting around in our stockpiles, then it will make beds. Because beds, you need logs to make beds. So if you don't have any logs, you can't make any beds, right? So we'll just say, let's make a buffer of 10, so we still have some extra logs to get around. But if we have 8 logs, we're not going to waste our time on beds. We're going to use it for more important stuff, okay? So this is a good kind of way to sort of limit when beds stop being made, because they're not super important. It's very important at the beginning, but once you've made like a bunch of bedrooms, you really don't have a need for beds at some point. So we can make, use the logs to make other things like coal or, whatever else we may need. So I'll leave it at 10 to give us a little buffer zone. If our logs go below 10, stop the order, okay? And the next condition is check how many beds we have, okay? If we have fewer than, it should be fewer, by the way, not less than, but we'll skip the grammar issue. If we have fewer than 10 beds in a stockpile, then we're going to go ahead and make more, okay? Now, what this exactly says is tomorrow, the next day, sunrise, they're going to check. Do we have more than 10 logs? If it's yes, if it's satisfied, then good. If we have fewer than 10 beds, that's satisfied, good. Then we go and do the order, okay? Now, what this really says is once these are satisfied, it will then stop checking and it will just make 10 beds, okay? We don't actually want that. You may want that in certain situations, but we actually don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I want to say that when these conditions are met, go ahead and make 1 bed. and then go check everything else. And then come back the next day, check again, and make another bed. Okay? Days are pretty fast. I don't know if you've paid attention to how fast time goes. It's not like a several minutes or anything like that. It's a few seconds. It's really not long. I forget the exact amount, but it's not very long. All right, so I'm going to right click out of here. And what I'm going to do, instead of setting this order to 10, I'm going to click on the number sign over here, and I'm going to set it to 1 and hit enter. Okay, so now what it says is if the conditions are met, it's going to make a bed, and then it's going to recheck the conditions. If they're met again, it'll make another bed. All right, that way it eliminates the problem of where a workshop gets used for a long time, because, you know, making a bed takes a little while. You saw them make the doors and the tables before. It takes a couple seconds. In this case, if the conditions are met, it'll sit there and make bed 1, make bed 2, make bed 3, so on and so forth until there's 10, and then it will go on and say you have a barrel order. Then it will go do the barrels, right? If you set it to 1 out of 1, it'll make the bed, and then it'll go look at barrels and be like, all right, what kind of conditions do I have for barrels? Let me make a barrel 2, and then let me go to the next thing, so on and so forth. If you leave it at 10 or 20 or 30, it's not going to stop doing that order until it makes all of that order, or until it can't do that order anymore. So I always like to set this to 1. Or 2, depending on how many carpenter workshops I have, and that way we're not spending too much time making beds, consecutively. Okay, but we'll still end up with 10. Once we have 10, it'll say, it's not less than 10, so we're not going to continue the order. All right. So we need beds, but now the other thing we need for bedrooms is we need a door, right? Privacy is important. So we're going to follow the same steps right here. Click on a new work order, and here we're going to type. Now, I could type door here, but you'll notice it gives you every material that can make any type of door. And that can be kind of annoying. Right now, we don't have access to most of these materials. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm going to type rock door. And now it says, okay, rock door. And we're going to follow the same exact steps. I want 1 door. I'm going to use a minus sign here to set it to 1. And then we're going to look at our conditions. So, non-economic hard rock, which is the exact stockpile we just set up. If we have more than 10, we'll make 1 door. But we also want to see how many doors we have. And we can decide here. We can say, you know what? Do I want to always have 10 doors ready? Maybe I want more than that. Doors, you might use them pretty often. Let's make a door heavy fort. I'm just going to set it to like 12. Okay? So we'll keep making doors until we have 12, as long as we have the rock, and then we'll pause. Okay? And then it'll check every day. So if I place a bunch of doors, eventually this condition will get met. The number of doors will drop from 12 down to 5, and we need to make more doors, and it'll keep going and making the doors. Super powerful. Once you have a piece of furniture set up with a work order, you really don't have to worry about it again unless you messed up something with conditions, or you have like a super big shortage of something. Like if I run out of wood, I'm not making beds. Beds will just not be made, and that'll help me notice, they can't complete this work order because I don't have any logs. I need to go cut down some more trees. Super powerful. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click out of here. So to double check, we're going to make 1 rock door based on our conditions. It can use any amount of workshops. We're good to go. Now, let's say you're really nitpicky, you're OCD, and you want to have every bed be made out of the same type of wood. Okay. That's this magnifying glass right here. This is where you can set the material of the object. So I can go click here. And I remember we had a chestnut barrel, so I know we have access to chestnut wood. So I'm going to click on chestnut here, and then click on our conditions. And you can see now, it's going to make, now I could change these conditions, right? It's going to make a bed out of chestnut, and I can change the conditions to check for chestnut beds, right? Not just regular beds. Okay? Or chestnut logs instead of regular logs. That would make a lot more sense in this case, right? If I'm making chestnut beds, I need chestnut logs. So I would have to redo these conditions here with the recommended ones. Again, the recommended ones are really nice because they do change based on the material, and everything is super, super, super intuitive. Okay. Now, in this case, I'm not going to do that because I don't care if they're made out of chestnut. So I'm going to, let's see. Is this still set? What's weird is you can't quite see the material based on this, if I'm not mistaken. And it should have saved. The other nice thing here is it gives you the count of the materials that you have. So you can see we do have a lot of chestnut logs. Is there an any? I can't remember if there's an any button or not. Looks like no. So just to make sure, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to boop this bed work order, just because I feel like I kind of I just wanted to show you the material thing, and I don't want to actually mess up my fort by having it stuck that way. So, all right, we're gonna do the same thing. Set this to 1 out of 1. Go ahead and go to our conditions. We're gonna check logs and beds. I didn't change any of those, and boom, we're ready to go. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let time go, and you're gonna see in here the stoneworker shop. They're gonna start making doors, and in the carpentry shop, they're gonna start making beds. So let's go ahead and just let time run, and we'll watch. I mean, again, we only have 7 doors. We have a lot of jobs queued up, so we'll see what happens here. But eventually, that is gonna happen. As that's going on, I figure we have about a few minutes left. Let's try and make some bedrooms. Okay, so let's talk about what dwarves need. They literally just need a bed. Okay, a door to seal it off and a bed. You could even make a dormitory if you want. Just one big area, place some beds, and they can all sleep there, like a barracks, right? We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to make fairly nice sized individual bedrooms for them. So hit pause here real quick, and we're going to set our digging orders for beds. So again, remember, you can always set a macro for this. I highly recommend it. If you have a way you like to do it, experiment early on. Some people like simple matchstick bedrooms, so they do like one for the doorway and then like a 1x3 kind of thing here. So you can put a bed here, maybe a treasure chest, because they can store trinkets in there, and then like a wardrobe here, and then your door, and that's all they need. There's literally no extra space in the room. Dwarves don't care. They don't need a lot. You can do matchstick beds if you want, and you just keep doing them out like this, and that's fine. Oops, wrong bed. Well, I wanted to clear these out anyways. What I like to do, again, this is me. You don't have to do this way. I'm kind of a softie, and I like to make sure they have some extra space. So I do one spot for my doorway, and then I do a 3x2 bedroom like this, okay? And I just kind of keep building these out. And again, you can macro this so it goes a lot quicker. But I can just kind of do this. And I need 7, so I got 4 here. I'm going to keep going this way. 6, and then let's do one up here. Oops, I scrolled up. We'll do another one here. Okay, and it doesn't matter if these are touching. We're going to put doors here anyway, so they will be separated. Not a big deal. All right, so we have our 7. Now, I could do this all the way around. I could do this on its own layer. I could go down here and make a hallway and then do bedrooms if I want. That's fine. I like putting it here just for, again, we're always thinking about efficiency. Or, you don't have to be, but that's what we're kind of going for here. So they go here, sleep, wake up, go to the workshops, and get to work. Not super bad. Okay, so again, we'll just play this out and let them start digging as they have time. So right now, if you can see this dwarf right here, Kogan's just sleeping on some pile of wood, pile of logs, because we don't have any bedrooms. So we really do need to set up these bedrooms. So we're going to wait till they get dug out, and then we're going to assign them exactly how we assigned our offices for our dwarves here. Okay. What's this guy doing right here? I love the new portraits that they've added pretty recently. So this guy's updating the stockpile records, counting everything. And then you can also see if you have multiple things on one tile, there's also a table and some plump helmet spawn. Probably because they just ate some lunch or some dinner with some plump helmets and generated the seeds. All right, plump helmet spawn, that's fine. So here you can see some of our work orders are being completed. Make 1 bed has been completed twice, so we have 2 beds now. We also have 2 doors, so nice little update there. Our bookkeeper is working. We found some gypsum. And it still says we need plump helmet, but that's fine. It's just because we need to be brewing some more as we go. In fact, we only set this to 1 job on our last episode. So you know what? Since we have the workshop here, the still, let's go ahead and make a work order for it. All right, so we're going to click on our work order, new work order, and it was to brew drink from plant. Now, fruit would be something mostly surface plants that you can harvest. You can also trade for fruit. You can make all kinds of delicious, ciders and wines and beers and all kinds of stuff like that. But our plump helmets are a plant, so we're going to click on brew drink from plant. Kind of the same thing. Each brew job does not just create 1 drink. It's multiple. And when I checked, I think it was almost like 10 or 15. It was a lot. We had something like 50 some drink, and it went up to like 70 some. So it was almost like 20, and that was just 1 order. So we're going to hit it just to do it once. Let's set our conditions here. So look at some of the things we need. One of the first things we learned was we need a barrel, right? Empty food storage item. In this case, we use barrels primarily. You can use all kinds of other things. We'll stick with barrels for right now. We want 10 barrels. And it says that is not satisfied. So basically, we have fewer than 10 barrels right now. So we could leave it like this and go set up a work order for barrels. It's a great idea. Or we could lower this until it's satisfied, which I'm guessing is going to take quite a while to get there, if at all. So yeah, we do have greater than 1. We don't have greater than 2, so that means we probably have 2 barrels sitting around that are empty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this at 10, because in the future we're going to want a surplus of barrels. Actually, you know what? Let's go down a little bit. We'll go to 5. Okay, so I want greater than 5 empty barrels sitting around. Okay, and then we'll do the work order. Okay, what else do we need? We also need unrotten fermentable plants, aka plump helmets. We need more than 10. Do we have more than 10? Yes. Nice to leave 10 around for, eating, because that's all we're eating right now until we can make meals. So we'll leave it like that, and that is satisfied, so we're good. Seeds, I don't care about seeds. We're always going to have seeds, so I'm going to ignore that condition. As they eat and brew the wine from the plump helmets, we're going to generate seeds through that process. So there's really, unless we mess something up really bad, we should not run out of seeds. And then we set our limit for drinks. So what's the limit? How many drinks do we want to have? Okay. This starts off at 10. That is a very low number. You can see we already have 67 here. I don't remember the exact numbers of how often they drink, but let's just assume it's at least once a day. We can assume twice a day if we want. We have 7 dwarves, so if they need 14 per day, we don't have a whole lot of, we barely have even a week's worth of alcohol here. So what I'm going to do is I like to set this number fairly high, because it makes sure we have a little buffer for drink in case something goes wrong. We run out of one of our supply chains here. We have some time to figure that out before everyone's just like totally dying of thirst. But also I like to do it because as they brew more, we get more seeds and allows us to plant more, so on and so forth. So it's kind of a nice little system. So I'm going to set this to like 200. All right. If we have 200 drink, then stop. If we have less than that, go ahead and make some more. So that's what we're going to do. Now you can see the only thing we don't have satisfied here is our barrel check. So we're going to be happy with this. I'm going to right click out, confirm it's 1. We got all our workshop set up. Perfect. Okay. Now we need to set up our barrels. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Barrels can be out of a lot of things. So we're going to go wooden barrel. All right. So we set up a work order before to make 2 of them, just one-time order. We're going to set it up again to be 1 wooden barrel based on certain conditions. So we only care about the amount of empty barrels we have. We don't care about barrels that are full of stuff. A barrel that's full of stuff is a barrel that's already being used. We want to know how many empty barrels do we have sitting around just waiting to be used. So that's our limit here. Okay. And we're going to say, let's say I want 15 barrels sitting around. All right, if we have less than 15 barrels, we have 14 barrels, make another one. So we have 15. So we always will have 15 empty barrels just waiting to be filled with wine, various other substances. All right, and then barrels require logs. So we again want to make sure we have some logs. So we'll say greater than 10, that's fine. Not worried about it. Again, if you want to, you can set the conditions for what type of barrel you want, so on and so, or what type of wood to make the barrel out of. We don't care if there's wood, use it, right? For instance, there's no real reason why you would change that. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to make some barrels. In addition to making our beds in our carpenter workshop, we're making our rock doors right now, and we're brewing drinks once our barrels get set up. Again, if we click on here, if we click over here, we can see we need to make a few more barrels in order for this to start happening. So we'll kind of watch that go. Let's see what we have here. We already have 3 beds here in our workshop. Again, we want to get these out of here as soon as possible, but we're going to have to set up a new storage area, right? Oh, look, they're starting to mine out our bedrooms, which is great. Kogan's making a door over here. Do I have a lot of Kogans, or is it the same guy just constantly doing this stuff? Yeah, you're Kel, but this Kogan guy, I've noticed him like 15 times. 69 years old, nice. Now he's drinking, healthy. All kinds of cool stuff you can look at here with their personality, read about them, some of their thoughts. Euphoric due to inebriation, excellent. Oh, we don't have mugs. We got to make some mugs. He's getting annoyed by drinking without mugs. All right, let's start setting up our bedrooms in just a moment. We're going to furnish them here, and that'll probably be it for this episode. So we'll have a place for them to sleep, and I think that'll be a good place to stop. So once they start finish digging this out, we're going to start placing down our furniture. Again, I built my bedrooms the way I did, a little bit more spaciously. It does change the quality of the bedroom, not just space, but specifically like the value of the items inside of it. And eventually you'll have nobles who require certain level of a bedroom and a dining room and things like that for themselves. Some even need like their own personal tomb. It has to be of a certain quality. So just keep that in mind when you are making things. You can't make everything just a matchstick. Eventually you do have to kind of modify what you're doing. So, all right, let's pause here. We're going to go to our build menu with B, and we're going to start by placing our doors. All right, so we're going to click on doors and hatches, and then door. All right, now this is my DF hack window. I can change a whole lot of stuff here, like materials and things like that. I'm not worried about that. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and build your doors by clicking on the right spot. Okay. Did I not place the last one? There we go. You'll notice right away these have X's. Ignore that, but that basically just means in this instant they can't find a way to build the door. But as soon as I unpause it, that's going to go away. The little clock just means you actually don't have enough doors to build this one. So this basically planning mode where you can plan to have a door there and it'll keep the blueprint there. And then once you build a door, they'll go and reactivate the construction and place it. That's basically vanilla. There's a little bit of DF hack work going in there, but not much. It's not that different. Again, I just highly recommend you get DF hack. All right. So I'm going to right click and we have our doors placed. And then I'm going to go back here and I want to place our beds. So I'm going to go to build menu. This time we're going to go to furniture or hotkey F. And then hit B for bed. And we're going to place our beds. Now, you can put it anywhere you want. You can even put it right here. Don't worry about orientation. Like, the doors look a little silly this way. That's just the way they are. It doesn't change anything. It works fine. That's how it's supposed to be. There's no rotation of items here. Okay? I like putting mine in the corners here. So I'm going to put one here, 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 and then there. All right? Same thing with the doors. You can see I got one that's not ready to be built. That's fine. They're working on it. All right, so unpause. You can see all those X's go away, but our two little clocks stay for the one door and the one bed. And then you can see our beds are getting placed already. Up a little bit. See, this one got placed. Doors are getting placed, so on and so forth. Now, we're not done yet. All this means is there's an area with a bed and a door. It is not actually recognized as a bedroom yet. Okay, so we're going to pause one more time, and we're going to go to our handy-dandy zones button, or Z. Now, we can see the zones we've already placed. These are our two offices that we placed for a bookkeeper and a manager. But what we want now is, again, if you made one big area with a bunch of beds and it's meant to be a dormitory, there you go. Go make your dormitory. We made bedrooms. Okay? So what I can do here is I can go and highlight, again, each individual bedroom and set it up. Actually, I believe this is going to count as one bedroom. Anyways, that's not the way we want to do it, because it ends up being confusing and it's a lot more work. The game is super smart. You hit bedroom, and instead of clicking paint, click on multi. And what it's going to do is you're going to highlight all your bedrooms all at once, or multiple at once, and it's going to automatically select the bedrooms in a kind of a smart fashion. So I'm going to click over here, drag down to over here, and again, I like to do a one border around the room to include the walls, and you can see it just made 5 bedrooms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And again, notice I don't even have some of the furniture placed here. But because I planned it and it knows it's going to be a bedroom, it just automatically knows, all right, yeah, that's a bedroom. All right, we're going to do the same thing over here for these two. Again, 2 more bedrooms created. So we now have our 7 bedrooms. I click done, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So our bedrooms are all made. Now, all they need to do now is finish placing the furniture, and then they can go sleep in their comfy bedrooms. Super nice. It adds to their happiness. Speaking of which, you'll notice we now have 4 who are a little bit greater than content, and 3 that are still sticking around the content happiness. That's fine. We're still waiting on, looks like, one last bed here, which is probably being made right now. Right here, we can actually see. Oh, now she's making barrels. Yep, the bed got made. It's being placed. There we go. And there you have it. Bedrooms, specific stockpiles, limiting what materials we want, adding wheelbarrows, and barrels and things like that if you need it. Work orders, setting up different conditions, and you can see they're all still going. And if it has a check mark like this, it's active, meaning it's still going. They're still working on it. Okay, no, the conditions haven't been, failed or whatever. If you just saw, there was. Did they go down a level, up a level? Where'd they go? They move so fast because they have the wheelbarrow. Where did they go? Oh, here. You can see right here, a zoom down here has the wheelbarrow with them. So you can see it's right in front of them. Let's see if we can just follow them for a little bit. Oh, your mobility. I didn't mean to hit that button anyway, so that works. Set the camera to follow. All right. So let's go ahead and. So they're using the wheelbarrow, grab the wood. And notice their speed is not changing, right? If they were to do that hauling without the wheelbarrow, it would take a whole lot longer. Okay, here they go do again. Boop, quick, and move, and go get another one. So pretty cool. All right, this is a good place to wrap it up. I hope that was pretty informative. I think we covered a lot there. We got our stockpiles, we got our work orders, we got building furniture, placing furniture, and building the bedroom zones. A whole lot of stuff to cover, and it's still not even scratching the surface of this game. We have so much more we have to do. But again, we're going to go nice and slow and keep things simple for you guys. So anyways, hope you guys are enjoying this series. Hopefully it's going at the right pace. Once again, if you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments. I would love to know. I know the reason why I went over wheelbarrows is because someone had asked that in a previous Let's Play. And if there's anything else you want me to go over, just let me know. If you guys like what you see, give it a like, subscribe, whatever. If not, not a big deal, but hopefully I'll see you around. All right, thanks guys. Talk to you soon.